Assalamu alaikum and welcome to the Intentional Empire podcast. I have with me today CJ, who is a clean beauty advocate, who is also a business coach and has just a wealth of experience with online business. I'm so excited to hear from your experience, your insights, what you've learned, and get your advice. And so let's get started. Right. So I wanted to start off by letting you kind of introduce yourself and your background, because I know you didn't always start an online business. So I would love to hear more about your background and how you got into online business.
Yeah, absolutely. So I am located in Nashville, Tennessee in the US, and I came here almost 10 years ago. I got married. My husband was already here, and I have a background in sales, HR. I worked for a staffing company. I came here and I did my MBA and then kind of fell back into like the HR world after that. And then when I was actually right around the time I got pregnant with my first child, I was also doing my PhD in economics. And that's kind of just like, I don't know, life's crazy ways of just taking you places. I got offered a position at the university, like paid. I would be a teacher. I would get my PhD. It all seemed amazing. So I just went for it because I was kind of in the transition. Like my work permit had ended here. I was like figuring out what to do. And then I got pregnant. So that first week or first month of grad school, I was constantly crying. And I was like, I don't know if I'm crying because this is hard or I don't know what's going on. And then we took that pregnancy test and I figured out what was going on. And I
Yeah.
had every intention after my daughter was born to go back to school. I had everything lined up. And my daughter was 3 months. I had to go back. I remember just sobbing the whole way to school, sitting in the parking lot, having to pump, having to teach, reading 600 pages between like Tuesday and Thursday with a newborn who wouldn't sleep. And something just changed in me. I never thought I would be not working or not wanting a just traditional 9 to 5, but when my daughter was born, I was like, "There has to be a different way." Like, I wanna just be here with her. I don't wanna miss anything, but I also wanna do something. I don't want to, and not that there's anything wrong with just being a stay-at-home mom, but I still had that drive of like, "Okay, there has to be something I can do while I'm at home with her." And I found my online business with Beautycounter. So I started selling clean beauty products. I started growing my online presence. I started growing my Instagram, and it was something that was meaningful, impactful, a creative outlet, a way to add extra income to our family and be there with my daughter. And it's been 4 years now. I have 2 toddlers. And it's been just such a blessing to be able to build that and do that. But if you would have told me 5 years ago that this is where I would be right now, I would have just laughed and be like, "No, that's never gonna happen."
Yeah, definitely. And I think it's amazing because so many women have a similar journey that
Mhm.
they have this plan. And I think a lot of us, when we have kids, is when we
Yes.
really start to question this idea of working a 9 to 5 and also having to take care of our kids and sort of realizing there's no way I'm going to be able to give
Yeah.
all of myself to my kids and my job at the same time.
Right. Yes.
Yeah, it's just impossible. And so, you are going through this realization where there's no way that it's possible. How did you start your online business? Like, what was that first step that you took?
Well, I I am kind of the example of just diving in head first without having a clue. So I had tried one product from Beautycounter. I tried a charcoal face mask and I learned about the mission and it was 100%. I was like, of course, these products probably work and do amazing things, but I wasn't a makeup girl. I wasn't a skincare girl. I was 100% bought into the mission and what the company does and just making safer products and all the advocacy work that we're doing to change legislation. So I 100% bought into the mission. I told my husband, like, we don't have anything to lose. Let's just give it a shot. I bought all the products and I just was like, okay, let's do this. And then I quickly realized that I didn't have a huge network here, right? Because I was like 4 years ago, I'd been here 6 years. I had like some colleagues and some people that I'd met, but it's not like I went to school here or I had like family and just like decades of network. So I quickly realized that if I wanted to make this work, I had to go online and find people. But yeah, I had no clue. And if I look at my first like stories and videos, it's like I can't even listen to myself. But it's like just go and just do the thing and figure it all out along the way. I didn't wait to be ready or I was just like, we're just gonna do this and we'll see where it lands.
I love that because honestly, I feel like you never feel completely ready. And the
No,
more that you try and prepare, the more you realize you have to prepare for it to be kind of perfect. And
right.
so no matter what, you're not going
Yeah.
to feel fully prepared jumping into it.
Right, right, and that's how I feel about so many things, and I feel like the gym and online business or, like, just getting healthy and getting in shape and your online business have so much in common because you don't expect to go to the gym and already, like, be the best and know all the moves and know exactly what to do. You don't expect to go to the gym and lose 5 pounds on the first go, but somehow with starting a business, we feel like we need to know all the things, we need to be ready, we need to be successful on the first try, like, it doesn't work like that.
It's such a good point. And I think even because the reality is for online business, a lot of what we do is posting content.
Mhm.
And I feel like people don't realize that you have to do the reps.
Yes,
You don't
yes,
come into the game really good at it. You
right.
actually have to post a whole bunch of really not so great posts
Yeah,
to
yeah,
be able to create good ones.
right, right, and even, like, 4 years in, not all my posts are great, but that's fine.
Yeah, exactly.
Not every workout is gonna be
Exactly.
great, like
Yeah, that's it. And every time you try something new, you start back at zero again. So
right.
we have to remember that it's putting in the reps and that's how you get eventually good at it.
Mhm,
So
100%.
something I wanted to ask you, do you think there were any challenges you faced because you were a Muslim woman in the online business world?
Ooh, that's a good question. I actually and this is a story that's in my head, but I actually feel like I run into more of that because our business model, you can do 2 ways. Like, I decided early on to go in 100% online, and then last year, I started doing more, like, in-person events and more, like, having a booth and sharing my products and sharing our mission, and I feel like as an online business owner, because it's easier to tap into your ideal audience and to for me it's easy to say like okay if I'm not for you then just don't follow me or unfollow me just walk away and online I'll find my people. I run into that a lot more during in-person events where I'm the only Muslim woman with my products and then I have a good conversation with somebody and they do not decide to purchase from me or do business with me, then the thought creeps in like, okay, it's probably because I'm a Muslim woman and they're gonna find another white girl to like, I don't know. But I do not feel that online because there's so much we can curate who our community is and who our audience is that if I'm like, I get a lot less trolls now than I did in the first 2 years. So, yes, you have to create thick skin early on, but you at some point, you get to that level where the right people are finding you, and the haters just kinda just fall off. And that's the beauty of online, right?
It's so interesting. You mentioned that, and I'm remembering the early stages of my own business. And I think I remember there were so many trolls at the beginning, but
Mhm.
same thing. Once I hit sort of the 1 year mark, now I'm noticing that people who follow me are genuinely my people. And
Right.
so I totally resonate. Like that thick skin coming into the game and just sticking with it. And then they just kind of, like you said, they just disappear after a while.
Yeah, and I mean, we have a lot of horrible things to say about the algorithm, and it doesn't always work in our favor, especially now, but the algorithm is smart. So it does put you, if you're consistent, if your message is clear, it will put you in front of the right people. So it
Yeah.
like that's the beauty of social media.
Yeah, absolutely. It works for you if you stick with it.
Mhm, right, and if you tell it like, it's like we're learning with ChatGPT now, right? If you tell it what you want it to do, if you're clear, it'll be on your side.
Yeah. No, that's totally true. So I know that in your business, you've kind of made some recent changes. And so I wanted to go into that. Like, what sort of prompted you to make changes? What changes did you make? And how are you kind of growing from that experience?
Right. I think this started pretty much a year, well, maybe a year and a half ago. Let me I was asked by our headquarters, Beautycounter headquarters, to do a training for, like, the entire community. And then I realized that what I had to say doesn't only apply to my business or just Beautycounter specifically. So last year, I really started to think about, okay, what have I learned in the past 3 years? And my business only operates in the US and Canada. And I noticed that a lot of the people that follow me are not, they're outside. I would say probably 40 to 50% of people are outside of my scope of service or how I can help them. But I was like, I have so much more to offer. I have such an audience. How can I pivot or add things on that will help more people, like build an online business? Or I started out with Instagram because that is still my expertise, how to grow your business on Instagram. And I just started thinking about, like, okay, what more do I have to offer? How can I help more women? But yeah, it all started with like that question from headquarters to give a training, and I was like, oh wait, maybe maybe they're onto something. And just that like little push to do more and to add things, yeah, to my already existing business, or to, yeah, add and pivot a little bit.
Yeah, no, I think it's amazing. And I think that you have one of the skills that we definitely need more of, which is sort of marketing and social media and personal branding. And those are all things that you've done very, very well. I know that you do Beauty Counter, but I don't want to just kind of reduce that to just makeup products because Beauty
Right.
Counter is so much more than that. And so I kind of wanted to talk about how Beauty Counter and your work with Beauty Counter is having such a huge impact on the
Mm.
world and what you do on that side of your business.
Yeah, absolutely. And that's 100% why I started. Like I said in the beginning, I wasn't a huge makeup person. I didn't have, and that's also the beauty of it. Like, you can you don't have to have all the things. It's not like, "Oh, I'm working with a beauty brand, so I have to know how to do makeup. I have to know everything about skincare. I have to know everything about marketing. I have to know everything about their ingredients." You don't. You just pick that one thing that really resonates with you. And for me, that wasn't, especially coming, I'm originally from the Netherlands, coming from Europe to the US. I was just astounded by the number of ingredients in our products, and it started with food, and I always give the example of ketchup, because ketchup has 4 ingredients where I'm from, and here it has, like, 12. And I'm like, What is going on?" So, just the way that our food is processed, all the additives, like, the colorants, and, like, cheese is not supposed to be this yellow. So, I really started to be more mindful when I came here to eat healthier and to just, like, be better. Like, growing up, we would eat organic, and we would look at where our food come from. And what Beautycounter does is, yes, we provide safer products, but we take on legislation. So in the US and Canada, companies can just pretty much do whatever they want, and they can put whatever they want in their products. They don't even have to tell us what's really in there. And research is showing that so many of the diseases that are on the rise are environmental. So it either the food that we eat, the products that we use, the water that we drink, our air quality. And those are big things. Like you can't just pack up and move if the water or the air around your house is not safe. But beauty products and personal care products is something that we can control. So I was really passionate about educating women because women 90% of the time are the ones who buy the shampoo and the body lotion and the deodorant and the sunscreen for the family, and just educating them about the safer alternatives that are out there and the steps that they can take, especially on what they use on their kids or what they're using when they're pregnant or nursing. And so yeah, it's so much more than just a beauty brand, which I feel like attracts a very diverse group of women too. If I look at the women that work with me on my team, we have the people that love makeup and like are go crazy about that. We have the women that are really into the low toxic lifestyle and just health in general. And then there are just women that see this as the amazing business opportunity that it is and use it as a way to add extra income.
Yeah, I think it's so important to talk about this because a lot of women in Canada and the States don't realize that legislation works that way.
Right.
We
Right.
believe that things that you buy at the store, we don't know who's testing them, but somebody's testing them and they're safe. And it's
Right.
just not the case.
Right. And I mean, I could talk about this for hours, but we see something and it says like third party testing, and we think, oh, that's probably good. It's been tested by a third party. But that really doesn't mean anything because, like, there is no rules, there's no legislation, there is nothing that that third party or the company has to abide by to make it like legit. They can what is that? Hypoallergenic is something that's completely made up, doesn't mean anything. But it's like,
Wow,
oh,
I had
we'll
no
say that
idea.
it's third party tested by somebody, and we just believe it, and we think it's better because it's tested by a third party. But there is no body that regulates that that actually means what it means. So yeah, it's insane.
It's insane. And especially when you think that we're putting these products not only on ourselves, but on our kids, when we're pregnant and nursing, as you mentioned. And so I love the work that Beautycounter is doing.
Number one thing for me to if we could just get a few women to be aware and to switch to safer, that's already worth it.
Definitely. And not to mention the products are good. All of my stuff right
Right,
now is
right,
Beautycounter
they
and I
do.
love it. So
They do also work, so that's pretty sweet too.
yeah, exactly. They are some great products. So I know
Yeah,
that you have through Beautycounter, you have a team. And so
yeah.
you're an entrepreneur and you work with entrepreneurs. Like, what do you think is sort of the parts of your mindset that you need to succeed as an entrepreneur?
Well, the first thing I always tell everybody is to just get out of your head. And to I actually just had a conversation this morning about, like, one of the girls on my team, and she already had a conversation with somebody, and then she wanted to revisit the conversation, and she was already having, like, conversations in her head, like, how it was gonna go between her and the other person, and I'm like, "You just have to stop. You just have to be a human. Just tell her what you're thinking. And if it's a no, it's a no. If it's a yes, it's a yes." But I feel like we get so stuck on what other people are going to say, what other people are going to think, especially when you start putting yourself out there on social media. You're going to be like, oh, but that girl that I went to high school with, like 15, 20 years ago, she's going to think this of me. And so my first thing is always to just stop thinking about other people. That's, like, my biggest thing, and I know that it's easier said than done because I honestly don't care what other people think, so it's really easy for me to say, but it's something that you need to that's like a muscle you need to grow or exercise when you do this.
Yeah. And I think realizing, you know, people, first of all, there are so many people who are rooting for you. There's so many people who, when
Mhm.
you put yourself out there, they're like, wow, that's
Right,
amazing. Like, this is so cool.
and then people don't
And
barely think as much about you as you think they do. I still have people 4 years into this where I'll meet them and they'll be like, oh, are you still doing that beauty counter thing? Oh my yes, I'm still doing that. So they don't even pay that much attention. So why are you worrying about them?
People care so much less than we think they do.
Yeah.
And, it's so not worth it to let a potential judgment on somebody else's part stop you from doing something that you love and has a huge impact.
Right. 100%. So that's always my first piece of advice to anyone who's thinking about doing what I do or just starting something of themselves, like an online business or a product-based business. Like you just don't think about other people.
Yeah, and surround yourself by cheerleaders. There's so many
Right.
women who are going to be so excited. And the second you put yourself out there, you're going to find them because they're going to be in your DMs. They're going to be liking your stories. They're going to be sending you messages and saying, "You got this. I'm so excited." And so
Right.
just stick with those people. Those are your people.
100%. Yeah. No, totally.
So I want to get a little bit practical. I know that you have your studying and you have kids and you have your business and now you added on another business. Like realistically, how do you manage all of this in terms of your time and energy? Like what magic
Right.
skills and tools do you have to suggest to us?
All right. So my studies are over, thankfully. So that's all done. I I'm very so I don't want to say I'm sloppy, but for a lot of the things I'm just like, okay, let's just get it done. Like leave perfect at the door. If you follow me, you see the spelling mistakes on my stories. Like it's just like not that I don't care, but I'm like, okay, we just have to get this done. It just needs to go out. I think I read a book, it's been probably 2 years now, and the book was called Drop the Ball. And it really talked about like things that are important to you as a family. Like what is it like a non negotiable, but what are things that you do because you grew up doing it or your mom says that you have to do it or like society says you have to do it and just be really critical about what you're spending your energy on and like things that are important to somebody else might and that like this is even in our relationship, right? Things that my husband cares about I could care less about, but I'm like I'm not yeah, maybe the kitchen is a mess all day and then I clean it up once at night. That's my way of just, like, making it through the day. And that's what I do to, like if I'm home with the kids, I'm home with the kids. If I'm working, and at night, this mess will get sorted. So really little things like that, just really looking at what are priorities, what is important, what can you drop, what can you delegate, what are you doing that you really shouldn't be doing? And that's true for your business and for your life, right? Like just being really critical on like and I always give the silly example of folding underwear. Like, why are we folding underwear? We're just tossing it in a drawer. That's already like 5 minutes that you saved there.
It's so true. Or things like, spending hours getting your perfect Canva template or things like that, that
Right.
really nobody's paying attention to that, but get your message out there. That's what's important.
Right, 100%. Like, yes, in the beginning, I made, like, all my Instagram stories on Canva, and I wanted to make them look pretty, and now I just take a picture and I blur it and I put some text over it and we're done. Because people are like, how do you show up every day? Like, how do you manage to come on stories every day?" And I'm like, "It really doesn't cost me any brain power. I just I just post what's in my head at that moment." And I think if it's your own business and you're passionate about your business and you're passionate about what you do, you'll never run out of things to say. Like, I always have things to say. And then I just, like, snap a picture of my backyard and whatever thought I have, I put it on there. Or I'll turn my camera on and record a quick story, and that's it. And those things, again, with the reps, right? Those take practice. Because when I started out, I felt like I had to re-record my stories like 5, 6, 7 times before I was happy. Now I don't even think about it anymore. I just say what I have to say and I upload it.
Yep, totally agree. Like the reality is if you want to grow quickly, which in order to kind of do well in online business, you do have to grow quickly, and Instagram does change. And so you have to be able to adjust. And in order to succeed in an environment like that, you have to let go of perfection because
Oh, yes.
you do have to be able to get those stories and those posts done consistently. And so realistically, when you have kids and your family and all of that stuff, your posts are not going to be perfect. And that's completely okay.
Right. I think, and that's
So,
my husband used to always be annoyed with, and like probably here now too. Like there is stuff happening behind me. And my husband would always get so annoyed if he saw one of my Instagram stories and there was like a pile of laundry in the back. And I'm like, A, I don't have time to clear up and like make my background look all cute and aesthetic. And this was before the iPhone feature that you could just blur like everything behind you. But also people resonate with that, right? Like if you're a mom and you're home with your kids and you get annoyed because you see somebody in her perfect kitchen with her perfect set table and you're like, I could never do what she does because I can't even like clean my kitchen. So just showing up
yeah,
the way you are also helps you just be a human and connect with other moms who are like, "Oh my gosh, I have that same pile of laundry in my living room right now."
yes, that's exactly it. And so it's a matter of people are looking for authenticity more than they're looking for perfection.
Right. 100%. Like the
And
aesthetic Instagram feed.
authenticity, yeah,
Yes.
totally. And authenticity now is the easiest thing that you can do with your content because it's natural. It's just your everyday life.
Right. And you're always gonna attract your people. They're there.
Yeah.
100%.
So other than kind of everything that we've spoken about, do you have any other sort of advice that you would give to Muslim women who maybe have a very small online business? It's just their side hustle, or who are considering to start their online business. What words of advice would you give to them?
I mean, yeah, like I said, just go go for it. Be consistent. I don't do this as much anymore, but in the beginning I really kind of thrived on checklists and systems and I gave each day a job. So I would do like on Monday every Monday I would talk about the business opportunity and every Tuesday I would share like a non-toxic like a I'd do like toxin Tuesday and I would talking about an ingredient, but it doesn't have to be all cutesy, but if you just have if you at the beginning of the week, if you know exactly what each day what you should be doing, I think that takes a lot of overwhelm out of it. And then I did 3, and I still do this. I do 3 non-negotiables every day. So 3 income producing, this is gonna move my business forward. I just have to do 3 things a day. And of course, you have, like, the Canva graphics or, like, all the admin, like, things or, like, receipts and billing and stuff that needs to happen. But I would always make sure I would do 3 things that would actually move the needle because otherwise you're buffering. You think you've done a lot, but all you've done is, like, maybe make, like, 2 Canva graphics, and you made a nice little spreadsheet for your receipts, and, "Oh, I've been so productive today," but have you really? So, that's something I learned on early on, and a good example of that paying off was this past October. Because this past October, I didn't s share, like I mean, I didn't share nothing, but I shared very little about my business, and I did very little online except for just giving voice to what is happening in Palestine, and my business didn't skip a beat because I had those systems in place, and behind the scenes, I was still doing the income producing activities and the things that I know that move the needle, but I could step away from I could give my platform to something else, and my business didn't skip a beat, and I think that's so valuable.
That's hugely valuable. I think that's exactly the flexibility that we hope that we all sort of aspire to have in our business by putting in the reps. And it just goes to show how much time has gone into your business and how much strategy has gone into your business to be able to create that flexibility today.
Right, right. And that's another thing where I was like, okay, this is something that I can teach to anybody. This is not just for my business. This applies to anyone with an online business.
Yeah. And I think that it's amazing that we do have so many more business coaches in so many specific areas now, because the reality is there are systems and strategies that work for your business. And if I was to join your business model, I would have no idea where to start. And you would be able to help me within a couple of months set up that structure to
Yep.
already have in place what you've spent 4 years building.
100%. Yes. Yeah.
And I think it's so powerful that now we're developing these skills in the Muslim community and as Muslim women so that we can spread it around and we are able to teach it to other women.
Yes. Alhamdulillah.
So the last thing I'm going to ask you is, with online business and how powerful it is to create sort of flexibility in our lives, where do you see the future of online business for Muslim women? And sort of what role do you hope to play in that evolution?
Ooh, that's a good question. I only see growth in the way that we're showing up online. I feel like there's so many spaces where we could take up more space. I mean, even in my own industry and just to take up space in the world. So I definitely see it only getting bigger and growing and expanding. And I also want to leave who's listening with this that maybe what you think you have to offer is really small. Maybe you're like, oh, I would like to do this, but I don't know, it feels small or it feels like something little. You just never know what it's going to grow into. You just never know. You can take something really small and really niche and really specific, and it could completely blow up. And you just don't know how many people are waiting for that small thing that you have to offer. And I always come back to, and this was years ago, but like the sensory play kits and like helping moms make like these sensory play kits. That seems like, oh, it's such a small thing and nobody wants this. It completely blew up because everybody was doing sensory play kits.
Yeah, it's so true. Just quickly, if people
Yes.
are listening to this and they want to work with you, what is the best way for them to get in touch with you and to work with you?
So I live on Instagram. I still do. So on Instagram, I am Tulips and Turnips. So that's my Instagram handle. That's also my website, tulipsandturnips.com. So yeah, anything tulips and turnips, I think on Threads, Pinterest, all the things, you can find me there.
Amazing. Thank you so much, CJ, for your time.
Thank you.
Thank you so much for sharing, and we'll talk soon. Take care.
Yes.
Assalamu alaikum.